Good evening, all. So, myself Pratyush Talreja, and I am a TA in this course on programming, data structures, and algorithms using Python. And this is the week 2. So, for this week, the professor has covered the following topics. First is the assignment statement, then basic data types, then strings, lists, control flow, and functions. So, starting from this week, we will be working on the programming questions. So the theory will be covered during the lectures and I will be covering some of the programming examples. So for my programming examples, there will be inbuilt functions already present, but for my programming questions, we will be working from scratch. We will be thinking of the solution from scratch and we won't be using much of the inbuilt functions because I want you students to think of how to derive a particular solution. So let's start with program number 1. So the first program is write a program to print following pattern using control flow statement. We will be using for loops to print this pattern. And now first thing to observe here is there are total of 5 rows and there are total of 5 columns. So this can be considered as first row, second, third, fourth and fifth. And there are 5 columns. First, second, third, fourth and fifth. So to print this, so to print this pattern, what we want to do, we want to use two for loops, one for row and one for column. So we will see how to use for loops. So first thing first, we will start with the basics of for loops. So when we say for I in range 6 for example, and then print I, the output of this code will be, because what range does is it will traverse from 0 to number minus 1. That's why we will get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as the output. So we can try this in the console. I'll write the same code. So as you can see, the output is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is for one for loop. So for example, we have two for loops. When I say I in range of 3 for example, for j in range of 3, and when I print I comma j. And one more thing is when I use this and equal to space, this means it will not go to new line. This will give a space here for the second loop, that is for j in range of 3. And then we can print a new line after this is done. So here what we do, when we print this, we can see the output as first it will be 0 0, then it will be 0 1, then it will be 0 2 for this loop. And then when we say go to the new line, it went to new line. I is equal to 1 for second case. Then j will again start from 0, 1 and 2. That's why it is 1 0, 1 1 and 1 2. For the third case, I will be equal to 2 and j will again start from 0 to 2. So that's why it is 2 0, 2 1 and 2 2. So this is the output of two for loops. But now our problem statement is we have to print this particular pattern. So in this case also we will be using two for loops, but the logic for that will be, I'll write the program and then explain line by line how we derive the solution. First, it will be in the range of 6. Reason being, there are total of 5 rows and 5 columns. So here we can say it will start from 0 to 4 because the total will be 5. Second will also go to 5 because column will be 5. But in this case, what we can observe there is for the first row, we have to print star once. For the second row, we have to print the star twice. For the third row, 3 times. For the fourth row, 4 times. And for the fifth row, 5 times. That's why the range will be for j in range of I, or we can say I plus 1. Now what will happen when we print this? We have to print star and then say end equal to space. After this is done, we will just print the new line. I will explain this code once we derive the solution. Now as you can see, we have got the pattern that we were looking for. So this is the output of our pattern. Now I will explain line by line what is happening. So for the first case, when I is equal to 0, because when we say I in range of 5, that means I will traverse from 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. But for the first case, when I is 0, they will start from 0 to 1. That means only 0. So when j is 0, it will print star once and nothing, just the space. When this loop is terminated, it will just print the new line. So this will go here, second line. Now when I equal to 1, j will be equal to 0 comma 1, because j in range of I plus 1 means range of 2, that means 0 and 1. So this will print star twice. So star space star, again one more space, because we are having a space here. Then again for this print statement, this will go to new line. Now when I equal to 2, j will be equal to 0, 1 and 2. This means 3 star will be printed. Accordingly, for other two statements also, when I is equal to 4 and I is equal to 5. That's why we are getting this pattern as the output, which is the desired output. So if this is clear, we will move to a new problem. So this is how we print this star pattern, which is shown on this page. Now the second program is again to print the star pattern, but this is a different pattern. As we can see, the requirements are similar, like in the first row there will be 1 star, second row 2 star, third row 3 star and so on. But now star is not starting from the beginning. There is some space in the start and then we are printing this triangle. So this is the complete triangle that we want to print. For the first case, the star was basically starting from the very start without having any space. But for the second case, there is some space and we are getting normal triangle. So for this, what we can do, again, we have to use two loops for sure, because we are using rows and columns here. So this is a two-dimensional figure. That's why we are using two for loops. But for this, we have to take care of the spaces also. So let me explain you this problem. So first thing first, again, we'll see how that pattern is printed. So this is the first star. So in this way, we have to print the output. As of now, I am considering here as 4 rows and 4 columns because there are 4 rows and finally there are different columns, but it contains spaces also. So for this case, what we will do, we will use two for loops. There will be total of three for loops, but the complexity will be n square. The term, this complexity, the time complexity, will be dealt in the coming lectures in the coming weeks. We don't need to worry about this time complexity as of now. So first what I will tell you is some basics of this range statement. So when we say for I in range of 5, and then when we print this I, this will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But what if we want to print in descending order? So for that it will be for I in range 5 to 0, and then step will be -1. And now when we print this I, this will be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That will be 1 greater than this. Normally when we say 5, so it will be 0 to 4. And now when we say 5 to 0 and step is -1, it will be till 5 to 1, and it will not include the 0. So this is how we print the range in descending order. So similar for loop we will be using in our example here. So the first for loop will be for I in range 5 comma 0 comma -1. Because we want to print 5 rows, so I will always be number of rows, and then we will be using for k in range of I. That means for the first case when I is 5, so k will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It will consist of 5 values. So why we are using this k? So we are using this k just to print the spaces, because we have to start with printing the spaces and then the star. And now there will be third loop, which will be for j in range of, it will be 5 minus I. I will tell you the reason why I am writing here 5 minus I. And now I will print this star, and it will be and equal to spaces here. After this is done, we will print the new line. So let us try and run this code. There is some indentation error. So there is a space here, I guess. Yes. This is the common problem in Python programs. Your code should be well indented. Now when I print this, you can see we have got our output. But now we are getting only 4 rows here, but we want 5 as per our solution. So we want 5 rows. So for that, what is the minor change that we can do? We will use, for example, 6. We will use 6 here. And again, here we will use 6 minus I. Let's try printing this. Now you can see we have got 5 rows and 5 columns. This is the triangle star pattern, that is the desired output. So let me explain you the solution line by line. So for line number 7, for I in range of 6 to 0, and step will be decreasing. That means the values of I will be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So for this case, in the very beginning, the value of I will be 6, value of k will be 0 to 6, because k in range of I, that means 0 to 6. Then it will print 6 spaces. So for the output, 6 spaces will be printed, and then j in range of 6 minus I is 6, that means 0. So this will not print anything in the very start. So for the second loop, this will go to the new line here. Then when I is equal to 5, because this is step minus 1, the value of k will be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now 5 spaces will be printed. So when we go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 spaces will be printed. So now j in range of 6 minus 5, that is j in range of 1. That's why when we say j is 0, for the first case, one star will be printed, then a space, and then again new line from line number 12. Now, for the third case, when I is equal to 4, this will be equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. That means 4 spaces will be printed, and this will be equal to 0, comma 1. 4 spaces printed, then print star twice. Star, space, star, space. Similarly, when I is equal to 3, this is equal to 0, 1, 2. That means 3 spaces. And then this is equal to 0, 1, 2. That means 3 star. Star, space, star, space, star. Then again when I equal to 2, k is equal to 0, comma 1. That means 2 spaces. J is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. In that case, 4 stars. Star, space, star, space, star, space, star. And finally, for the last case, when I is equal to 1, because line number 7 will traverse from 6 to 1. 0 means 1 more than this. 6 to 1. So k will be only 0, only first case, only single number, because k in range of 1. That means it will be only 0. That means print only one space. And j will be equal to 0, because j will be equal to 6 minus I, that is 6 minus 1, that is 5, which means j will be equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That means this j loop will be iterated 5 times, so we have to print this star 5 times and a space. So this is our desired output. So if this is clear, we will go to a new problem. So when talking about this for loops, different control flow statements, first thing what you need to do, you need to write down like what a particular for loop will print. That is one of the technique you follow while solving a particular problem. So you have to look for different patterns. So now as a homework, what you can try is, I'll remove this. What you can try is, you can print the pattern. You can print this inverted star pattern. That is one of the question that I can give you as a homework solution, which will be not included into programming assignment, but just to improve your knowledge, just to improve your coding abilities, you can try different problems. So this is one of the cases. Second pattern that you can try is, Second is to print this pattern, for example. Our first example was starting from here, and now you can try printing this pattern also. So this will give you a general, a basic understanding of how to use for loops, how to actually think of a particular solution. So let's move on to the new problem statement. Now after we have done looking into control flow statements, we'll look into some of the programs which deals with strings. So the question is, write a program to check if the given string is a palindrome. So what is a palindrome? This means any string that is similar from the start and from the end. So what I mean by palindrome is, if a string is A, B, A. So when we read it from left to right, it is A, B, A. When we read from right to left, it is again A, B, A. That means this is a palindrome string. But when we say if a string is A, B, C, for example, from left to right we can read it as A, B, C, but from right to left it is C, B, A. So these two strings are not equal. That's why the string ABC is not a palindrome. Similarly, in our example, we have shown the input as rotator, and now the output is the given string is a palindrome because when we read from left to right it is rotator. Again, when you read from right to left it is again rotator. That means both the string are similar. That's why it is a palindrome. For the case Python, when you write it from right to left, it is NOHTYP. So these both strings are not similar, are not equal basically. So that means this is not a palindrome. So this is our question. This is our program number 3. So the logic for this program is, we have to find the start element, we have to find the start index, we have to get the last index, and we have to get the middle index. So what we will do, for example, if a string is A, B, C, C, B, A, that means what we can do, we can break these strings into two parts, and then we will compare the first index with last index, and we will do so only till the middle of the string. So like we will compare if A is equal to A. If this is true, we will compare B is equal to B. Again, if C is equal to C and we have reached in the middle of the string, that means both of the, I mean, that means this string is a palindrome. So to do that, what we will do, so suppose a string is given, we will take the input as string as, what is our example, rotator. Okay. So if string is rotator, and one more thing, the length of the string is given using len. So when you take this len of str, it will give you 7. That is the length of our string, rotator. That is 7 characters. So now the start character, that is the initial character, I will use ini is equal to 0 because the first index is always 0. This is the initial, and the last index will be length of the string minus 1 because length of string will be 7, minus 1 will be 6. So starting from 0, the last index will be 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That's why it is length of str minus 1. Now we have to find the middle index also, mid index also. For that we will write length of str minus 1 divided by 2, which will be the middle element. So now what we do, we will just use a flag element, flag variable, and check if flag is 0, that means the string is palindrome. If the flag is changed, the string is not palindrome. I'll tell you why and where we will be using this flag variable. So first we will be using a while loop. And in while loop, what we will do, while initial is less than equal to end, sorry, not end, mid, because we have to check only till middle of the string. And now what we do, we check if str of initial is equal to str of last. If this is the case, what we will do, initial will be equal to initial plus 1, because when we are on the first index, if these two are same, then we will go to the second index. So initial will be initial plus 1, and last will be equal to last minus 1, because our first index, that is initial, is going from left to right, and the last index is going from right to left. That's why it is last equal to last minus 1. And if these two characters are not equal, so what we will do here, we will now change flag equal to 1. That means even if any one of the characters is not matching from the initial index and the last index, that means that is not a palindrome. So we will do flag equal to 1. Normally in coding we use break statement, but this is not covered, so we will be not using in this example. And now after this is done, after this while loop is executed, this will again be executed again and again till the time initial is less than equal to mid. If initial goes beyond mid, that time this will not be executed and this will come out of the loop. Now we will check if flag equal to 0. In that case, we will print what was the desired output. The given string is a palindrome. And if not, we will print the given string is not a palindrome. Let's try running this example first, and then I will explain line by line. Again, the problem is with the indentation. We will correct the indentation here. Okay. After writing this code, the given string is rotator. So it should print the given string is a palindrome. This is our output. Now let's understand the program. The first thing is we are initializing the string, that is rotator. Initial will be 0. Last will be length of string, that is 7 minus 1, which will be 6. And middle element will be length of str, that is 7 minus 1, 6 divided by 2. That means middle will be equal to 3. And flag will be equal to 0. So now what we are doing is, while initial is less than equal to mid. So initial is 0, mid is 3. Now what we are doing here is we will first check if str of ini, that means str of 0, that means r, and if str of ini is equal to str of last, that means str of last is, so last was 6, so str of 6 is again r, that means r is equal to r. Then r is equal to r, what we will do, ini is equal to ini plus 1, which will be 1, and last equal to last minus 1, which will be 5. And again this will check the line number 6, which is while initial is less than middle. Now initial is 1, 1 is less than equal to 3, which is true, so it will go inside this loop. If str of 1 is equal to str of 5, that is o is equal to o, so this is again true, so initial will be initial plus 1, that is this will be 2, and last will be last minus 1. Now what we are doing, we are again checking on line number 6 if 2 is less than equal to 3, which is true, so this will check if str of 2 is equal to str of 4, that means if t is equal to t. If this is true, again this will do initial equal to initial plus 1, last equal to last minus 1. And again this will check if 3 is less than equal to 3 on line number 6, which is again true. So what we will do, we will again check if str of 3 is equal to str of 3, that means if a is equal to a, which is again true. So what this will do, initial equal to initial plus 1, that means ini equal to 4, last equal to 2. And now this will check while 4 is less than equal to 3, which is not true, that's why it will come out of this loop. And this will check if flag is equal to 0, and in this case flag was already 0, and this has not changed because every string, every character matched, every initial character matched with the character in the last, so flag equal to 0, that's why the output of our code was the given string is a palindrome. So now if this is clear, we will move to the fourth program, which is we have to check if true two strings are rotationally equivalent. And what do we mean by this? So two strings to be rotationally equivalent, what do we do? First let me explain you the problem. That means if the given string, for example, is a b c d, so rotational string will be b c d a, because when you rotate it, it will be a b c d. Another string will be c d a b. Another string will be d a b c. So these are the rotational strings. So for example, if two strings are given, like coding and this ODINC so the output will be yes, because these two strings are rotational equivalent, because as you can see it is CODING. So when you rearrange these things rotationally, when you rotate this string number 2, it will again come to coding only. That's why these two strings are rotationally equivalent. For the second case, it is WORLD, but string 2 is OWRLD. So even if you rotate it, you won't get this word. So that's why these two strings, that is string 1 and string 2, are not rotationally equivalent. So for this, there is a simple logic. So what do we do? In string, so for this problem statement, slicing of string will be required. So how to perform slicing? What we will do? Suppose the given string is coding, and if you print this, that means you are starting from 2 and you're going till the last. That means second index. Second index will be 0, 1, 2. Second index starts at D. And now if you want to print starting three numbers, starting three characters, sorry, starting three characters. So for that what you will do? You will write 0 to 2. When you print this, you will get 0, 1, 2, 3 characters from the start. So for this program, what we will do, the initial string that is given to us was coding, that is string number 1. And suppose second string given to us is ODINGC. Okay. And as in the problem statement, I'll use the same variable names str1 and str2. So first thing what we can do is we can print the different rotational strings for this. So for that, in a single for loop, what we can do, for I in range of this length of the string, that is str1. Now what we will do, we will just print the rotational strings. So rotational strings will be print str of I till last, plus will concatenate two strings. So for concatenation, if suppose a is equal to abc, b is equal to def, when we print a plus b, the output will be abc def. This will concatenate two string. So now if you want to print another string, so I will use str1 0 to I. This will be I to the last of string, this will be 0 to I. Suppose if we print this, suppose string 1 is coding and we print this statement. So what it will give? It will give different rotationally equivalent strings of that particular string, given string. So now here what we can do is we can check. We will remove this print statement. We can just check here if the string plus this is equivalent to string 2. If they both are similar, then we can print yes. So if these two strings after concatenation is equal to string 2, then we have to print yes. That means these two strings are rotationally equivalent. But what if the strings are not rotationally equivalent? So we have to print no also. For that, we will make use of a flag variable which will be equal to 0. And when this is equivalent, we print yes, but at that time we will make flag equal to 1. So after coming out of this for loop, we will check if flag is equal to 0. That means flag has not changed. So in that case, we will print no as the output. So let's first run this example. So we have to use it in two different ways. So for the first case, it is yes. But still, if we change it, DO for example, write the code again, nothing will be printed, but then we will use this statement. So no is printed because there was no string which is rotational equivalent to this string 2. Now let me explain what has happened here. So as we have already seen, we have printed this thing. I will print that code again. So suppose string 1 given is coding, and when we print this, using the slicing of string. When we print this thing, you can see different rotational strings are here. So now when I copy this, this is the output that we got. So now I will explain you this particular statement here, what happens here. So for the case number 1, when I was equal to 0, so this will start from 0 and print till end. That means this particular statement will be entirely coding, plus this will be nothing, because we have to print till 0 only. That's why the first statement is coding. For second case, I will write it here. For second case, when I is equal to 1, when I is equal to 1, this will be 1 to end, and this will be 0 to 1. That means this particular first part will print ODING, and the second part 0 to 1 will print only the first character, that is C. So that is concatenated here. For the second case, this will be 2, this will be 2 to last. So 2 means this will print DING, and 0 to 2 this will print CO, that means DING and CO. Similarly, the loop will be iterating for other values of I. So now when we get these values, we just check if this particular value is equal to this value. If they both are similar, then we will print yes as the output, otherwise we will print no. So hope this problem is also cleared. Let's move on to one more example. So now, after talking about strings, we will now talk about lists. So the first program is write a program to find the strongest neighbors. That means we just need to check the adjacent numbers. So for example, in 1 and 3, 3 is strongest. I mean, biggest number is 3, the maximum number is 3. That's why we print 3 here. For the second case, 3 and 2, 3 is again biggest. For 2 and 4, 4 is biggest, and for 4 and 5, 5 is biggest. That means these are the strongest neighbors. So we will start with defining a list. Suppose we have L equal to, and to define a list we use square brackets. So the list is 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, for example. I will use the same list. But for list, traversing through the list, we can again use for loops. And for this case, what we will do, we will just use the range variable. Now it will be for I in range, and range will start from 1 now. 1 till the length of L. So first we will print it here. Suppose the list is 3, 2, 4, 5, and then print length of L. This gives us 5, because there are 5 integers in this list. There are 5 elements in this list. Now this will traverse from 1 to 5. That means 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this case, what we will do, we will take one array or one different list. We will call that list as output. That will be blank list. What we will do here is we will check, and we will assign the value of maximum. So what we will do, we are checking the adjacent element. So I in range of 1 to 5. So what we will do, we will check this element, that is L of I. Again, to access any elements in the list, suppose if you want to print the second element, you have to write L of 2, which will give you 2. L of 2 means 0, 1, 2, that is the third element. To print the second element, it should be L of 1, which will print 3, because the second element is 3 here. Similarly, what we are doing here is we are checking L of I, that is first element, and L of I minus 1, that is the zeroth element. So we are checking maximum of these two. So that will be assigned to our element. That is the new variable. And now what we will do? We will use append, and in append we will append the element directly, nothing else. When this is done, we are just going to print the output. So let's first try and run this example, then I will explain line by line. So as you can see, the output is 3345, which is the desired output, 3345. Now let me explain how did we come to the solution. So now initially the output list is blank. There is nothing in the output list. So when we check I in range of 1 to length of L, length of L is 5. That means I will go to 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 iterations total. And first we check element equal to maximum of two elements. So I will first explain what is this maximum function. So when we say maximum of 3 comma 4, for example, the output should be 4. We are just checking the maximum of two numbers. When we check 6 comma 3, the output should be 6. So similarly what we are doing here is maximum of L of I, that is L of 1 for the first case, L of 1 comma L of 1 minus 1, that is 0. So we are checking maximum of 3 comma 1, which is 3. So for the first case we are appending 3 on in line number 6, and then this is getting appended here. When I is equal to 2, we are checking L of 2 and L of 1, the maximum of L of 2 and L of 1. So L of 2 is 2 and L of 1 is 3. So we are checking the maximum of 2 comma 3. So again this will be 3. For the third case we are checking maximum of 4 comma 2. So maximum will be 4. And for the fourth case we are checking maximum of 4 comma 5. So the maximum here will be 5. So that's why this is the output 3, 3, 4, 5, which we can see here. So this was the simple problem. So if the logic is clear, we'll move to the new problem. So now for this question, we have to print all the combinations of a list with three elements. That means this is a list with three elements A, B, and C. We have to print the combinations of these three things. So what can come? ABC can be one of the combination. ACB can one of the solution, one of the combination. Then it can start with BAC, BCA. In this way, if there are three elements in the list, we have to print the combination of these three. So the logic for this is very simple, very naive. But what we can do here is, let me first take another example. Suppose list is 1, 2, 3. Output should be 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 2, 1. This should be the output. So now as we know there are three elements and we have to print the combinations of these three elements. So the simple case here is to use the for loops, three for loops. So what we will do for I in range of 3, as there are total number of elements is 3. For j in range of 3 again. For k in range of 3. Now in this we check if these indexes are not equal. So if I not equal to j and j not equal to k and k not equal to I. If this is the case, then we print the value. Suppose list name is L, so we'll print L of I, L of j, L of k. We print in this way. So I will explain what this code is doing. So first let us print this. Now you can see this is the output. And now if I'm changing my list to again B and C, if I'm printing it again, the output will be ABC, ACB, BAC, BCA, CAB, and CBA. Now let us check if this is the desired output or not. So this is the desired output. So now let me explain how the code is working. For the first case, what happens is, so every variable like I, J, K will traverse through 0, 1 and 2. So for the first iteration, I will be equal to 0, J will be equal to 0, and K will be equal to 0 to 2. So now what we are checking, if I is not equal to J. But for the first case, if even if I and j indices are 0, this will not print because we are using AND loop here. So for the first iteration, I will tell you how it is getting printed. So when I is 0, j is 0, k is equal to 0 to 3. So for the first case, we are checking I not equal to j. So this will fail. And this will fail for all three times because I and j are equal here. For now, for the second case, when j is equal to 1, j is equal to 1, k will be again equal to 0 to 0, 1 and 2. So first we are checking if I not equal to j, which is true. And for the first iteration of k, we are checking j not equal to k. This is also true. But k is not equal to I is false because k is equal to I. So this will fail. That's why for the second iteration of k, that is 1, we will check I not equal to j. This is true. J not equal to I is false here because 1 is equal to 1. That's why again this will not be printed. Now we will go to k equal to 2. So we will check if I not equal to j, which is true, j not equal to k, this is also true, and k not equal to I, this is also true. At that time we will print L of 0, L of 1 and L of 2. That means the first output, as can be seen here, is A, B and C, first, second and third element. Similarly, second, for the second iteration of I, when I will be 0, sorry, I will be 1, j will be 0, and k will be 0 for the first iteration. As we can see, j and k are equal, so this will go to second case, k equal to 1. Here, I equal to k, so it will go to third iteration, that is 2. So in this case, we will print L of 1, that is B, and then L of 0, that is A, and L of 2, that is C. So this is again one of the combinations which is printed here. So similarly, there will be other iterations also. So in this way, we are getting all 6 combinations of a list with 3 elements. So similarly, if we want to increase the numbers, suppose it consists of 4, for the fourth element, then we have to use 4 for loops, and this is very naive solutions. There are solutions wherein the time complexity will be reduced, but just to keep it simple, just to keep it for the second week, as we have not gone into various advanced concepts, so we will be using here only 3 for loops to derive, to come back to come to that particular solution, to derive that particular solution. And that was it for this week. If you have any doubts, you can ask me anytime during the week also. And again, I will see you next week with week 3 programming questions. Thank you so much.